Welcome to the final presentation in Week 3 of GA103. We will finish our discussion of typography.
A few slides back, I mentioned kerning and leading. We will now cover each. Kerning is the appropriate letter spacing which helps readability. It is enough letter spacing to clearly separate words from one another. Too much letter spacing and you have to slow down to determine where the words begin and end. And too little spacing and you can't read what words are. The top paragraph has too much kerning and the bottom has too little. Notice how the letters touch? With leading, the right amount of leading can improve readability and legibility of type, and if there is not enough leading, it is difficult to move down to the next line of text. You often end up reading the same line over. Too much leading, and you can cause the reader to work harder to find the next line. A good rule of thumb is that leading should be at least 3 point sizes more than the text type. Two other terms which play an important role in typography and design are legibility and readability. Legibility is whether the viewer is able to distinguish the letters from each other. Letters must be identified to be read. This is based on font selection. Each of these typefaces have poor legibility because of their letter designs. Readability is whether the viewer is able to read the words. This is based on the point size of the type, the leading and the kerning, and the line length of copy. It is important to present in your designs reader-friendly type. Uppercase versus lowercase type can play a factor in this. You can see how much easier it is to read this text when it is set in upper and lowercase. This is because the eye reads words at a glance more easily when upper and lowercase letters are used. All capital letters are best reserved for short passages of text. In addition to the various rules of choosing a typeface, it is also important to know the different ways of categorizing typefaces. The categories are based on style, practical application, and when the typeface was used. Text typefaces are chosen because of their legibility and readability for the viewer. Text typefaces are used by newspapers, magazines, and in books are almost always the serif typeface. However, simplistic sans serif typefaces are gaining popularity. Display typefaces are used when projecting mood or attitude and are more decorative in nature. The categories of type are serif, sans serif, script, handwriting, black letter, titling fonts, and decorative and display. Within the serif, sans serif, and script categories, we have additional subcategories. We can see those listed here as well as examples of typefaces that fall into each of these categories. The categories are based on the time in which the type was created as well as the character styles associated with each typeface. It is important to not only understand the rules of typography, but also understand how to use it creatively. Distressing the type on this poster adds clout to the message by helping viewers imagine the potential impact of the fist. The design is by Jeff Kleinsmith. Here we see that the designer has chosen a round typeface to complement the roundness of the Lifesaver. Also notice that it complements the Lifesaver logo, but is not the same style as to not diminish the brand identity. Here we see an effective use of sans serif type with reverse type or white type on a black background. This is a technique where, if done correctly, can draw the viewer's attention to certain areas of the design. Combining illustrations of images with type is also a way to make type more expressive. Here we see the designers have chosen to add elements to the logos that reinforce. Using masks or image in combination with type can also make an impact. In this case, the pattern of the feeless shoe is shown inside the large F. This creates drama and balance in the design. This week we began our discussion on typography. We looked at what is design and typography, type as a design element, typographic conventions, and using typography in design. This is the end of our presentation.